Today we're going to make some beautiful vibrant art using alcohol inks on ceramic tile, glass, and stone. How cool is that? Last week I found out trying to have fine control over alcohol ink was a bit like trying to corral a herd of greased pigs. But with a few art supplies and household tools, I found some ways to make the best of that unpredictability and make some gorgeous art that you can do at home. I'll list some materials in the video description, but in general I'll be using a combination of alcohol inks and isopropyl alcohol, a sturdy tile, and I'll light it on fire for a very quick and unique look. From last week's experiments, here we see a colorful crow rendered into a puddle of purple in the process that I used last time. I wanted more control, and I found it with a process I'm calling the Snoop Dogg. By using stone as a base, we can force a defined image to be visible. I happen to have a lot of experience working with stone. And so I know that if you picked up a tile in Travertine, or in marble, or even in limestone, something that is a calcite stone, that we can use its properties to etch an image onto the stone. I really wanted to avenge my last crow mishap, so I decided I was going to do a crow with this method. The first step is to apply a masking fluid to a calcite stone such as the travertine that I'm using here. I am protecting all the areas of the stone that doesn't include my drawing of the crow. This would work out just as well if I went backwards and protected the crow and not the background. Either way will work out just fine. The reason I'm using a calcite stone like travertine is that it is sensitive to acids. If I apply an acid to the exposed stone, maybe vinegar or lemon juice, or in my case I'm using a stronger CLR product, it will begin to lightly dissolve or etch the stone. This will change the texture of the stone and make it more porous, and my hopes were that it would hold on to more ink in those areas. Though this is not strictly necessary, after removing the acid, it's probably best to neutralize it with something that is alkaline, like Windex. In this case, I decided to add alcohol and ink to the bird while the mask was still on, even though the stone is now etched. For a different look, I bet you could remove the masking fluid first, but that's not what I did here. After applying the alcohol and the ink, it's time for Snoop's favorite part. You gotta light it up. I use a little click lighter. What do you think about those, Snoop Dogg?
Perfect for candles, grills, and so much more.
Thanks, Snoop. I agree, 100%. So after that is all burned up, you can remove the masking fluid, and I was surprised at just how lovely those lines are on the side. Just perfect, perfect, perfect. I could have left it like this, and it would have been lovely to have that nice diffused color. But I decided I wanted to do something with the background, so I added more alcohol and more ink, and I thought, well, what is the second firing going to do with this? I didn't know if that bird would continue to show up as well or not, but I wanted to test it out. Do you want to do the honors, Mr. Snoop Dogg?
This is perfect for hard-to-reach places.
So true, so true. I think after firing, some of the ink did move around a bit, but I think it ended up having a really lovely look. I think the way the inks moved actually made it even better. Soft, but still well-defined. I also wanted to avenge experiment 15 from last week, using alcohol markers on a ceramic tile. I tried using alcohol markers on Yupo a number of weeks back, and in both cases, applying markers to a non-porous surface is hard. On paper, alcohol markers work well and are fairly predictable with layering and blending. Not so on a ceramic tile. The markers don't apply evenly, and more times than not, they will just move previous layers of marks made. This is why I called it accidental Impressionist, because no matter what I did, I wasn't going to get rid of the imprecise marker strokes. It's not a horrible look, but I wanted to see if I could do more. So after applying some alcohol to the outside of this and lighting a match to it, I did see that the background got a little bit softer and had a different look. So I decided to go a little bit more and attack the hair. And if you check it out, oh my goodness. You can see that it's starting to move, which I expected to happen. I just didn't know how much. And then I got really experimental and decided to do the face.
Oh, 4! I mean 5! I mean fire!
Oh my god. Yeah, that was not the look I was going for. Fortunately, I learned last week that I can redo this inking and burning cycle virtually as many times as I want. That tile will be fine. So I took advantage of that fact and added more ink where I wanted it, reapplied the alcohol and burned it probably 15-20 times, trying to get an image that I was somewhat pleased with. I was still left with the fact that using markers was hard to control, and the alcohol and fire even less so. Stuff burning where I didn't want it to, things just tend to spread out.
That is typical.
But I am fiercely stubborn when I'm on a mission, let me tell you. I knew I wasn't going to be getting a Rembrandt out of this, but I was hoping to get something that was colorful and interesting and sort of embraced the beautiful chaos of this ink and fire technique. Though I can't say this was a 100% mission accomplished thing like the crow, I do think I saved it from that melted rubber mask look, and I was asked later by someone I know if I'd give it to them for their place. So hey, absolutely. I'd be really happy to do that. And one last Avenged experiment. Zorro, number 12 from last week. I wanted to use masking tape to influence how ink would cover and burn onto the surface, but this time I'm using a glass tile. You'll be able to do many burn cycles on this, don't you worry.
I know. Yeah. Okay. Subject: fire. Dear Sir Stroke Madam, I'm writing to inform you of a fire which has broken out at the premises of... No, that's too formal.
The tile that I'm using is about 7 millimeters thick, so it's pretty thick. I wouldn't recommend using a thin sheet glass type thing unless you're very careful, because I have seen those break after just a couple cycles of burning and cooling. But this tile endured 30 or 40 cycles, and it was perfectly fine. I was trying to emphasize an organic looking geometric pattern using masking tape, and then doing an ink firing, moving the tape, firing the ink again, and repeat, and repeat, and repeat. You get the idea. Now, I was never able to get the tape to leave a beautiful straight line, or even to completely protect the ink that was underneath it. And I was okay with that, though, because, like the previous project, the imperfections hint at the imperfect process, which, in a way, I truly want to embrace that. Art, I think, can be conceptual like that. If those materials, methods are chosen carefully, it can be the difference between, oh, that's nice to look at, and, oh, wow, that's cool to look at and to think about. I think that's a reason that these sorts of experiments are important for us to try, because we never know, a project will come along and we'll have the exact right way to do it that fits with the concept. I think this ended up looking pretty nice. Some bold colors, organic but still geometric. And the reason I wanted to do it on glass, I wanted to light it up from behind. So I used a little LED light, and that gives it a really fresh look. Something a little bit different. Please let me know if you have any ideas for future projects, or if you have thoughts about this one too. Thank you so much for coming by. You guys are the best. Until next time, bye-bye.